We'll see if Thor is going to be the same pick. Like I said, Chavo played Thor perfectly fine. We got to pick some bans. eLevate will be the team on the left with the first selection this time around. SoaR will have to answer to them. I wonder if that'll change the picks or the bans rather in our first phase.
eLevate on the first pick side. We'll see if they want to pick Terra, because they don't seem to want to pick Fafnir, and Rippin did such a great job on that Khepri last game, reviving Vulcan, reviving Keegs, or not even forcing the kill on them. Just as soon as you see that Scarab's Blessing, it's hands off. Right, it's hands off. Whether they die and get revived or not, you're still saving their life with that ultimate. And so we'll see if SoaR wants to adjust. If I'm SoaR, I'm leaving Fafnir open, and I'm banning Khepri in the second banning phase. Not here. You don't want to give them something really priority, but we haven't seen them pick it before the second ban phase yet, and SoaR should recognize that and ban it away. Yeah, I mean, the Khepri is just an interesting character that you have to learn to play around and against. We saw Khepri dominate the SPL until it was able to come around, and players really learned that, all right, we can target the Khepri. Just target the Khepri, force him to ult himself, and then you can go on your priority targets. It does amplify the complexity of the conversation of the team fights, but that's just something you got to deal with Khepri. So, but leaving Terra open, passing the ban does SoaR, and now Rippin may not like to play Fafnir, but we'll see the other quintessential support guardian right now, Terra. Let's see how he works with her. Definitely a different style from Khepri. We touched on it during that game that Khepri is really a support in his own category right now. Terra, pretty much the opposite, wants to be up in the face of the opposition.
So we're going to go very aggressive. Robin for the soul lane, and out Kuang will be the choice for Chapo. This seems like a god that Chapo would absolutely love. It seems to really fit his playstyle. Go too deep and then execute somebody as safety. But I feel like we haven't seen Chapo play this as often as I think we would like to see, honestly.
He has a great out Kuang. There's no doubt about it. He definitely
first time this split, excuse me.
Yeah, first time this split. And you'll see it banned out a lot of times in that second banning phase against them, because it is a god that he can do a lot of work with whenever he gets his hands on it. Like you said, it fits his play style. He can go super deep and execute you. And Chapo has this team/selfish play style. He's very team-oriented in his communication, but his actual play, when you watch it, you see a lot of selfish tendencies. And that's not that, I don't mean to use that in a negative connotation. He gets a lot of farm, he wants to take your waves, and he wants to put himself ahead to put him in a position to bring the team with him, and that synergizes very well with Kuang.
Which is why I'm excited to see him. Like I said, 0 picks for him this split so far, so we're going to see how that turns around. Second round of bans. Guanyu and Susano already taken out by eLevate, so they'll look towards an Athena. SoaR, they banned out Nemesis and passed a ban, which allowed eLevate to pick up Terra, and this time they'll ban out the Freya. No more Freya for Keegs. He did a very good job on that. And they'll ban out the Chronos as well. So Despair not planning on playing that, and both of those Magical Hunters a little bit too spicy.
They don't want to face up against Keegs. Magical Hunter is just doing so much work in a duo lane right now, and Keegs knows how to use them to maximum efficiency. And I'm really surprised that eLevate chose Raijin there. I mean, Stormy, let's be honest, did nothing on that god last game, and Vulcan was so effective for Truancii. That's been the god that he's been really impressive on. Maybe just feeling a little bit more confident, wants to show that his god pool is a little bit bigger, but why fix it? There's nothing broken with that Vulcan. Pick it.
Especially with the Thor selection, right? If you see a different jungler, you can argue that, hey, they're not going for a combination, right? There's no stun and burst down. But Thor and Vulcan have a fantastic combo there.
They work so well together, contesting objectives, aggressing on objectives, just fighting in general in the middle lane. Maybe he wanted the extra mobility to deal with the Ao Kuang. Plus, don't forget, the Raiju, when you mark Ao Kuang, even when he goes invisible, your whole team can see him. He's going to be visible on the minimap to your entire team. But again, I don't know. I just was not impressed by Stormy's Raijin last game, and you want to give, if they're going to pick it, you want to give it to them.
I really like the Odin selection here, Aggro. It's going to work excellently against specifically the Vamana, and even the Terra going to do a good job preventing that heal out of the big baby ultimate, and of course Terra's sustain coming out from one of the obelisks. So Odin should do a good job here. I
like it as well. However, SoaR really lacking in the CC department overall. Very true. Ao Kuang doesn't really provide any significant CC outside of the ultimate when he's not using it to execute you. However, that is a kind of wombo combo. It can work like a Kumbo or a Nejal where you just pop someone up and set them up for before that Vulcan ult for Stormy, but that requires a lot of on-point communication, and we did not see that last game out of those two.
Not quite. We'll have to keep an eye on how those players do. There's the aggression already, unable to really find a kill, just a little bit of damage. We'll see how eLevate respond. Everybody gonna head back to base. Still minus 35 on the clock. Things haven't really started just yet. Players just out to ward and whatnot, and well, somebody got caught.
Well, eLevate bought, or excuse me, SoaR. I saw the red, and you just think eLevate because eLevate's red, but SoaR is the one buying the majority of the early wards, and that's normal whenever you have the Kuang. Kuang a little bit more susceptible to an early game invade on those first few buffs, but when you have Ravana paired with you, that'll really dissuade you because Ravana's level 1 is as good as it gets.
So just something to think about for sure is Uzzy and Chapo, and their sort of solo jungle combination is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. It's very disjointed.
Speaking of different from what we're used to seeing, Phantom being the first active picked up for Rippin in that duo lane really does not want to let anyone on his team get caught in that Odin cage. Phantom obviously being buffed in the last patch that we're playing on console at least to be that AoE team buff, allowing everyone, whenever it's activated, to get out of that Odin cage.
And I think that's specifically to do with the position that Odin's playing. Should Odin find himself in the solo lane or even in the jungle, I think we see, or if he's in the solo lane, we see that Phantom come on at level 12. But since he's in the support role, and potentially, like I said, even in the jungle, I think we see that Phantom come out at level 1 because the threat is just a little bit more imminent. Solo lane Odin, we'll see you later. Not a big deal. I can go whatever I want. But you're in the same lane as me. I'll have to watch out for that one.
Truancii using the Thunder Crash aggressively might be in some trouble, but the turret placement from Stormy is just off the mark. Now Chapo's going to be the one in trouble.
And a little bit of damage going both ways still. The Kuang very low. He'll have to find an exit on the right, and he will. And everybody, seems like everybody was just trying to pile on a Chapo, and SoaR had to play defense.
Target calling there off the mark for SoaR. Truancii should have been the call. He's used the Thunder Crash aggressively. Uzzy turns around, hits the 180 root onto him. If we just turn around and use the turret aggressively, place it back, it paints him with the backfire, he's got nowhere to go. He's got no mobility left to him, and you should be able to pick up that first blood, but instead Stormy trying to peel for Uzzy when he really didn't need it.
Everybody on SoaR kind of was just trying to peel for each other.
Yeah.
So, too much help.
That's the sign of a team that's still gelling together. It's still, and this again, I know we've been fairly critical about the chemistry or lack thereof thus far between Stormy and Chapo, or earlier in the day, Aware without their jungler and moving roles around. But this is all a very normal part of the process.
Absolutely.
And it takes time. There is no. It's just like shooting a basketball. There's no substitute for just reps in the gym. And scrims are one thing, but real games are another. And it's always going to be a little bit different in those scenarios. So you have to take, it just takes time.
And I mean, one of the bigger things that separates it from something mechanical, like shooting a basketball or even doing play-by-play commentary, is the fact that it's dependent on another person. You can't just learn what your teammate's going to do. We saw Chapo come down, and we didn't see some of the response. Hold that. Nice ultimate out of the Thor. Jumpahhh hits one of his own, and Truancii answers perfectly. So StormyRays unable to find it. Now the counterattack out of SoaR. Truancii very low, and there's the pop from Chapo. Able to take out Truancii for first blood with the water illusion.
So we saw that chemistry look great at first for eLevate, but there just wasn't enough damage.
Yeah.
I don't know if Truancii didn't land the Raijin on top of Stormy, but that ult just felt a little bit lackluster. The taiko drums just not pumping out enough damage. And then he had used the Thunder Crash aggressively to get in there because he knew that Jumpahhh was coming down. But you're going all in for that play, and then once it doesn't work out, it's a really bad situation for you. Chapo able to pick up the first blood and force the purification away from Jumpahhh, and that allows this speed buff invade.
And with nobody, you can see the Thor going to show up and just throw a hammer, but speed buff already taken away by SoaR. So we were talking about this this mid-jungle synergy a lot, and that time it really worked out. But like you said, you were comparing it to just sort of like individual performances, and you just need practice. And that's very true, you just need practice. But unlike an individual task, you're not just going to be able to, well, I got the muscle memory down, I could get my Thor combo, for example. It's not that simple. You have to learn your teammate. You have to learn what they do. You have to learn how they react, and you have to earn their trust so that once you're able to make those plays, there's no second guessing anybody.
There's a huge difference between what you can be the best mechanical player in the world. You can hit every single ability. But if you don't work well with your team, you're not going to succeed. And that's what's so important about Smite, and that a lot of people who were just watching at home or just new to the competitive scene in general, even those players, they don't put enough stock in the chemistry aspect. When you're making changes, when you're making role swaps, chemistry is equally important, if not more important, than what's actually being landed or not landed in the game. I mean, the difference between, say, Annenster and Homie Faye, negligible mechanically, right? There's no big difference there. They both hit their stuff at an unbelievable rate. They're both great players who have great game knowledge, but it's more about who works better with their other 4 players on the team. That's what separates Denial from SoaR and LG from Eager, all these things, Energy from Bipolar Method. Every team, they're all great players. It's how you work with those great players on your team.
Exactly. I mean, one of the bigger things is when you see a team stop thinking about themselves as 5 individuals and just one team with 20 abilities, that's really when you see the change. Nice jump in from Truancii. Gonna get the slow on a Jumpahhh, but the damage is coming from behind. Truancii loses half his life. But now the guys from eLevate are very, very deep in their own jungle. SoaR trying to play very aggressive here. Chapo in a lot of trouble, gonna get zoned out thanks to the ultimate out of the Odin. And here comes damage going the other way. Chapo stuck. Oof. He'll be fine walking through his own ring. And there's the ultimate out of the Jing way. And everybody will be fine. So aggression coming from SoaR. Going to amount to a bunch of nothing. eLevate able to chase them out of their jungle. But more importantly, SoaR able to stay safe.
SoaR kind of got lucky there, in my opinion.
They really got lucky,
I mean,
aggro.
Chapo uses the water illusion aggressively and then is stuck for a long period of time. That water illusion has quite a long cooldown. Chapo going to be in some trouble here. Jumpahhh using that double tap and the spin to win, but it's going to take a decent amount of poke from Truancii in response. But yeah, just missed abilities. I mean, the cage from Odin did a great job of peeling. The Vulcan ultimate went in there, didn't really do a whole lot, but Chapo was just down by those back harpies forever, and missed wall, missed abilities by Terra. I mean, sloppy there from eLevate overall.
Yeah, a little bit problematic. As eLevate are looking up at a 1,000 gold lead, which is pretty much as raw. You've got 500 gold thanks to the first blood, but the other 500 has been pretty much off of a single speed buff invade and a little bit of good farming here and there. And it's very early in this matchup, so eLevate, they've got to get things together. They've got to really start to find something to happen.
And Chapo's got to be the focus for eLevate, because if you let him to continue to free farm, he's going to become a problem very quickly. Kuang, much like Kronos, much like Freya, is a ticking time bomb. And eventually, he's going to get to the point where he's too much to handle. That's the strength of the character. But right now is the weakness of the character. We've seen SoaR be the one to invade, but I'd like to see some grouping up around that speed buff. Chapo is usually getting that speed buff by himself. He doesn't share it a whole lot. And so if you can bring a Thor ult and a Terra there, something along those lines,
right,
as long as you aren't giving up a gold tier on the back end, you can really start to shut him down.
And I mean, that's his game plan, but SoaR instead going to go directly for the objective. He'll peel back ASAP, looking more for a fight than anything else. Honestly, I think if SoaR full commit to that, they can take it no problem. They're just looking more for the bait than the actual objective.
Maybe a little bit gun-shy after that last one, but hold that thought as a nice Odin cage in the middle lane. Where's the ultimate from Stormy? He's got to use it to blow up Rippin holes here. Here it is, but it's really late, and now he's going to fall to Truancii.
And that right there sort of doubling down on somebody that was already dead. The ultimate out of Vulcan came after the player was already in execute range. So we saw SoaR's jungler, Chapo, able to make the play even without the Vulcan ultimate. And Stormy winds up trading his life pretty much for nothing there. That's troublesome, and like you said, just a little bit gun-shy is the term that I'll use for Stormy as well. Just a little bit, he doesn't want to pull the trigger too often on that ultimate when he's got to be a little bit more liberal.
And it's tough whenever you're going into a situation where you're changing roles, and you know, I mean, mage ultimates are the biggest thing in team fights 9 times out of 10, and it's whether they're hit, whether they're missed, are they on the correct target, that sort of thing. And so there is a lot of pressure when you're playing that sort of character, because you need to be on point with those, but playing scared is not really the answer. I'm not saying that Stormy's playing scared, but he's got to be, like you said it perfectly, he's got to be a little bit more liberal with those. Maybe they want to go for the Gold Fury after that, so he's saving it to secure, but you never get the Gold Fury if you don't kill Terra in anyways. So if you're going to commit, you have to commit. And if you're going to poke, you can poke. But that's got to be explicitly said before the engagement, and then you've got to follow up on it accordingly.
all of SoaR's sort of mistakes, you know what, I won't call them mistakes, I'm going to call them shortfalls, and although that seems like a very small clarification, I defend I think it's very important that I choose my words carefully there. All of the shortfalls that we're seeing here out of SoaR, they seem to be mental in nature. We've seen a couple of missed plays out of players here and there, but realistically, it's just a lot of the, not just shot calling, which is it's not just shot calling, it's target prioritization, shot calling, and individual play decisions as well. But that Gold Fury, I think it's taken by SoaR a couple of weeks ago. That fight in the mid lane, I think it's taken by SoaR a couple of weeks ago. What's the biggest difference between, I mean, I'm asking you to talk about your own performance here, but what did SoaR lose when you left the team?
Chemistry. I mean, that's really it. Stormy, what I brought to the team was not, I'm not this unbelievable mechanical player. I've never been a heavy mechanical player. It's about communication and understanding what your teammates are trying to do and working together as a unit. And Stormy has the communication and he has the mechanical skill to be there. But like we mentioned, it just takes a lot of time. And it's very glaring when you're looking at it at this top-down perspective, and you're looking at a regular season SCL game that is very important because you can miss a LAN by one game. Trust me, I know. I missed a LAN by one game, and that feeling is really terrible when you look back at games like this and you're like, man, if we would have just committed a little bit better or just worked a little bit better, that kind of stuff.
A tiny bit.
There's so much that can change with such small plays. And so there is a lot of pressure on you in that sort of sense. And I really don't think Stormy's doing a poor job. I really think that he's making this transition into the middle lane fairly well because, I'm biased here, mid lane is, in my opinion, the hardest position to play, exclusively because you are always the target and you are always the focus of everyone.
Right side, certainly the focus at the moment. Terra going to drop a little bit of nonsense down to prevent anybody from really walking that way. Ultimate out of the Robin, going to be strong for the moment, but it's just not enough. Truancii responds with the ultimate, and Chapo just gobbles him down. Huge damage on the Kuang. Jumpahhh gets 2 stuns for 1 ult, and everybody from SoaR going to find an exit on top of their tower.
There's a great ultimate from Stormy. No hesitation, immediately shooting it to try and peel for Uzzy. Ends up hitting Truancii and doing most of his health. Nice rotation there. You're trading a mid laner for a solo laner. Definitely in eLevate's favor, but finally we see some life out of SoaR, some kickback. We're seeing them work together as a cohesive unit instead of 5 individuals.
That's the play that we need to see happen, and hopefully it's something that can jumpstart SoaR. Losing game number 1 was a little bit rough. They lost it to the minions more than anything else, to be honest with you. And here, like I said, with Chapo, the character like Kuang, this is Chapo's job, and I respect the change here. We saw SoaR kind of struggle playing the same game that they did when they had all the chemistry in the world with a mid laner like yourself that was just a part of the team for a long time. Forget about your skill and everything, just the fact that everything was the same for so long, you're able to stay on the same page. Something new, the team's not really doing it, so Chapo comes out and he says, all right, give me the Kuang, time for me to do the heavy lifting. He's got 3 kills at a spot where Kuang isn't supposed to really do much. Pop! Polynomicon just finished. This is where you're going to see Chapo go way too deep and then really try to put the whole team on his back. This is the moment, Aggro, where Chapo is going to look to win the game by himself.
Pop is the right word, because this is what you're going to start to see the opposing players do. They're just going to pop from that Polynomicon with the Blink online as well. And you mentioned it. This is not the time that Kuang should be leading the junglers, but he's up 2 levels on Jumpahhh right now, up about 600 to 700 gold, and he's in a great spot. So SoaR, even though this game is really even at this point, is totally okay with that, because the team comp they have, Uzzy's here on this Ravana to make sure that that right side jungle is safe and secure from invades. He's just there to bridge the gap until SoaR and Kuang and Vulcan can do the heavy lifting in the late game.
And like I said, the Kuang doesn't need help from his teammates, and that's one of the bigger points. Chapo wants to do this by himself, and he's in a position where he honestly can. And this is kind of the story where we watch these star junglers after their teams get sort of changed around. Sometimes we spent this entire game talking about chemistry and everything. Sometimes you gotta just be the guy in the spotlight, and Chapo is the guy. He's willing to take that, and like I said, I'm all for team play. I think it's one of the bigger things in Smite, and I think it's how you win games consistently. But occasionally, you just need one dude to go like this. Hey, what's up, dude? And just continue and lay the smack down. Vamana's not going to live for much longer. A couple more shots out of Chapo and his teammate will bring it down, and Chapo able to shut down Niqued.
But here's a response at the Gold Fury, already being pulled by eLevate. BroChacho going to force the ultimate out of Thor, but the Gold Fury is falling fast, 28%. It looks like Stormy's going to try and steal it, but it goes the way of eLevate. Nice secure there by Truancii.
Good play, and here comes the rotation out of Kuang, looking for the kill onto the mid laner. Wonderful, following the Thunder Crash, but the Terra stun too strong.
Great ult.
BroChacho able to get one, Stormy able to get one as well. So SoaR group up now after the damage coming out of ELSoaRchapo, and they're going to group up, taking the mid lane tower.
Despair just raining damage into the jungle there with that Stellar Burst, and now SoaR 5 strong. Soul has those 3 items online, can push this tower so well. Truancii going to be forced out by Uzzy. Teleport coming in, but it looks like the tower might fall too quickly.
Yeah, here's the damage coming out from eLevate as they try to play defense. Like you said, it might be a little bit too late. Tier 2 tower falls. SoaR Gaming click 2K after trashing the mid lane. 3,000 gold in the lead despite the objective going in the way of the blue team.
eLevate all just ran in the exact same corridor, and a big bird bomb from BroChacho, a big Stellar Burst from Despair, and the backfire from Stormy also securing a kill. You just don't want to group up against big AoE abilities like bird bomb and supernova, and that's you can see why right there.
And so right there, Kuang doesn't do it, Chapo doesn't do it as we expected with all the kills of the world, but he ganks the right side, forcing eLevate to make the play out of the Gold Fury, which his team is able to go ahead and clean up there. You saw him look at the Raijin, and Truancii lost 70+% of his HP bar. That's the impact that Kuang's going to be able to make. 4-0-2 at the moment. You can see his player damage isn't even all that high. Well, we're looking at Gold Fury. Player damage isn't even all that high. He's not #1 just yet. His solo laner is, but he's able to make these impacts by the individual kills. SoaR, they've got their foot on the gas, and they're not going to let it go.
Why would you? Your Kuang is big. He's 4-0-2, almost has Obsidian Shard online already, and is going to be doing a ton of work.
They showed up. These guys showed up on the right side of the map and just looked at Vamana. Niqued hit his ult button very quickly. All of a sudden, he just sees Chapo slams Y. Just got to be careful of what's going on there with these jungler.
And part of the reason he did that is probably because he went for the Frostbound Hammer immediately after Hide of the Anemian Lion, and that is just such a greedy build, not going any magical protection against this Kuang. Now going to gank this left side, Keegs with a nice knock-up, showing some presence of mind to be nice and patient, also forcing out the ultimate from Despair.
Trouble on the backside is Despair going to get chased by 3 players. Vulcan's here. Just tosses a meatball to create some distance between himself and the opposition. Jump is here, but won't get the surprise gank. Very important play by BroChacho. That seems so small, just showing up and hitting somebody real quick, but having the knowledge and the vision that Jump is there is in the entire play.
And they have a lot of vision on that left-hand side. Look at the ward dominance from SoaR right now. I see 1 ward on the map by the back harpies for eLevate right now, and everywhere else is warded by SoaR.
The map's got the measles right now. Just all these red little bumps. Despair chased away. Has to pop the Sanctuary, but should be fine. That's
both actives down for Despair, though, so he's going to have to be careful. Jumpahhh should be on this left-hand side as soon as Keys gets back, basically. There's no reason not to. And that's something we haven't really touched on, by the way, is this duo lane matchup. I love the bans coming out from SoaR, forcing Keegs onto a character that he's not as comfortable on. We saw how comfortable he was on that Freya in the last game, and has been really, really quiet on this Jing way, really doing not a whole lot, sitting second to last on his team in damage behind Terra only. So, in Despair, we saw how big of an impact he had after that Gold Fury. I like the call from SoaR to keep Keegs on an uncomfortable character.
Keegs just a little bit too strong for SoaR to deal with in the past, but right now, we're pretty well into this one. Almost 18 on the clock, and SoaR winning by about 4K gold. 3,300, I guess, if we're a little bit more specific. Thanks, camera guy. 6 kills to 2 as well. And a lot of that has to do with this man in the center of your screen. ELSoaRchapo, ELSoaRchapo. 4-0-2, he's 100% kill participation. Thor takes to the sky.
He's got to be looking at Despair right now. Neither active available, but he sees this rotation coming in from SoaR and immediately thinks better of it.
BroChacho gets stunned out. He don't care. That's an Odin. Very tanky at this point. No stacks. on that Heart of the Urchin just yet. Just finished.
He did go for the tank boots, though, even without them being buffed quite yet on console, seeing that he's going to be the focus. And that's a lot of the time you are. As the Odin support, you don't have any CC available to you outside of a slow and the cage, which is like a really soft CC if you want to get technical. You're going to be the focus because you don't have any way to peel for yourself most of the time outside of that cage and the leap. So recognizing that, SoaRchapo understands that he's just a cage bot in this game. He's there to throw down the cage and just wants to do that well. And the best way to do it is to stay alive and throw as many as you can.
Here comes the Odin blinking forward, trapped a couple of people in the cage, but everybody able to get out thanks to the Phantom.
But that's totally fine. That's totally great for SoaR because that Phantom cooldown is so long. Look, 170 seconds on that. It's a 3-minute cooldown as opposed to Odin's ultimate right now, which is probably sitting at like 55 seconds or so. Wow, did you see that? That was 55 seconds.
That was incredible.
I used to play this game a lot, man.
You ever play mid Odin?
No. Oh, God, no. I can't play anyone tanky because I just expect to do damage. Or I just think of how other solo laners are against me, how they can take all my damage and live. But for some reason, whenever I'm tanky, I do no damage and everyone kills me instantly. It doesn't make any sense.
I still think that was crazy. You're going to buy me a lotto ticket. SoaR, full rotation on the left side. You can even see the teleport coming in from Uzzy. He's going to look to play aggressively. Here's a teleport from the enemy solo laner. Going to show up right about now. Jumpahhh gets a big chunk taken out of him. Level 19, comparatively speaking, to the 14 jungler. Uzzy certainly looking a little bit strong. Gold Fury being addressed by SoaR. Here comes Niqued. Everybody from SoaR just walks away and starts looking at the solo laner.
And why not? He's going to have to force the ultimate here. Jumpahhh going into the back, looking at despair, but takes a ton of damage in return. Keegs also with this assassin-like positioning all by himself now.
Can't find the kill on Thor. He'll go back to base. He's pretty much just as good as dead as he's out of the team fight. Ultimate out of the Raijin, going right down the middle. Can't find the kill on Chapo. Truancii finally does right before the execute. Chapo falls down, and what looked to be a good fight coming out of SoaR turns in the opposite direction, excuse me, and eLevate able to turn things around and shorten that 3,000 gold lead up just a little bit.
I don't know where Chapo was in that fight, but wherever he was, it wasn't the right spot because he didn't get the blink off. He wasn't able to surprise the enemy team and still was able to die. We saw him get trapped in that Gold Fury pit by Truancii, pushing him into it using the Raijin ultimate. It was an awesome play by him, but overall, Chapo, this is where you want to be as Kuang. It's time to be Kuang. It's time to just execute the tanks. It's time to just one-shot the squishies, but that time not working out.
eLevate now getting aggressive onto the tier 1 tower, but SoaR looking for the counterplay. Can't find the ultimate out of StormyRays. And Niqued able to find himself safe and secure on the left side. Thor ultimate down as well.
A lot of actives used on the side of eLevate, though. At least they got that Sanctuary out from Truancii. Definitely going to be, that Vulcan ultimate definitely going to be up long before that Sanctuary is. And Keegs last time, he had the same sort of positioning in game 1 and also against, in their first set, was just playing like an assassin almost, Transonics-like. But he's got to be careful about that.
Gold Fury 35% and counting down it goes, and nobody able to really steal that one away. SoaR Gaming pushed themselves up back to the 3,300. Look at that.
I love the call, just saying, let's see if they react. Let's see if they get here in time.
Yep.
Because sometimes when you're playing and you force another team off the Gold Fury, you say, okay, they're off the Gold Fury now. We did it, team. Great job. Let's all go back to farming our lanes. But they're still around the Gold Fury. So SoaR just saying, let's wait and see what happens. eLevate slow to respond, so it's a free Gold Fury for them.
eLevate able to sneeze at that left tower and go ahead and take it, but Rippin gets rooted. Nice follow-up stun. Really looking strong on that Terra. But here comes Chapo. Yeah. See you later. I mean, that's just what he does.
That's what Kuang does really, really well. Rippin just a little bit out of position, and Chapo gobbles him up for it. Nothing he can do once he uses that dash. Now Chapo going to go in by himself onto KeegsMate. Pretty deep, but does have the water illusion available. Jumpahhh trying to influence SoaR off this left tower.
He's looking for the left-hand side, and that's going to be damage out of everyone. And Despair falls down for the count, but Stormy able to respond with an ultimate of his own. Truancii claims one before he falls, but Stormy is the mid lane with the duo kill. That's going to happen out for him. There's a nice knockup out of Niqued, but now everybody's looking at the young Vamana. 4 players surrounding the solo laner. Damage out of the Kuang, no ultimate available, but still able to make it happen.
Look at the damage from Keegs. I mean, he just came in full health, and he's going in 1v4 right now. Gonna dash right in front of the turret, force a Sanctuary, but nice replacement of the turret to try and force Keegs out even more. Niqued and Keegs going in 1v4, almost able to dissuade them off this tower. In fact, they do.
The damage out of SoaR not going to happen, as they've taken too much damage themselves.
Just, I don't know. I don't know if I like that ultimate from Rippin there. SoaR clearly out.
Looking for the chase.
Yeah, looking for the chase, but it's only him and Keegs.
Sprint.
Keegs doesn't have any actives. He doesn't have any way to catch up because he doesn't have his ultimate. And even if he did, he's still below half health. A little bit ambitious there coming out from Rippin. But overall, that time just a little bit. So they give up the Gold Fury, right? Does eLevate. They're a little bit out of position, not there in time to contest, and then they try and go for that dual lane tower, but leave Rippin to be just gobbled up by Kuang. And so overall, it doesn't end up being too bad because they do pick up some return kills and they defend that tier 1 tower on the left-hand side, but they also give up a lot of kills. And now Kuang, level 17, Stormy, level 18, Soul, level 19, and we're starting to see these big money items come online. Soul Reaver for Kuang. We've got the Restored Artifact for Despair. He's probably close once he sells that Vampiric Shroud. Stormy also working on that Rod of Tahuti, whereas on the side of eLevate, we aren't that close to the Raijin Rod of Tahuti. He's about as close as Stormy is. We aren't close to full crit coming out for Jing. She's going to have that Wind Demon online soon, but that's about it. This is going to be a big moment for eLevate. And a great route going to force the ultimate out of Niqued, but I'm not even sure if it's going to be enough.
No, I think he's still in trouble. He's narrowly going to avoid the ultimate out of the Vulcan, and everybody from SoaR going to peel. As Niqued able to find himself in the jungle.
But I've got no problem with that. Stormy being loose the ultimate there, fine. I've got no problem with that. I'd much rather see that than him holding it over the top of the Odin.
Exactly. We were just talking about that. Be more liberal. Make those shots. Even if you don't make it, fantastic. It'll be up for the next time. But you're better off going for it than just holding it and putting it in your pocket. Absolutely love it. Want to see more of that out of Stormy.
Better to have ulted and missed than to have never ulted at all.
Exactly, my
Shakespeare
friend.
said that a long time ago, and he was right.
I'm sure it was Raijin and Juliet, right?
Yes.
That's exactly how that one went. Trouble for Uzzy on the right-hand side. Jumpahhh. Well, I mean, it looks like trouble for Uzzy as he's outnumbered, but I don't think the Ravana actually cares.
But SoaR has to do something here because Keegs is split pushing down this left-hand tier 2. Here comes a teleport from Uzzy, but he's still going to get significant tower poke. In fact, by placing that Wind Gust correctly, he might be able to get this.
Yeah, his damage is still going to come out. I think Keegs might even trade his life for it.
You may as well. He does still have the ultimate available, so he should be fine, actually. Jing just so mobile, so difficult to deal with. And Uzzy ulted over but got body blocked by the back harpies. That stinks, man.
And the Terra sprint going to help Keegs as well. And SoaR unable to do anything on the right side, so the up-down coming out from the Thor. Despair gets credit for that kill, and Thor unable to really stop anything from happening to his teammates. Well, Uzzy chasing KeegsMate from the left side all the way to the right side.
And he may as well, because here comes Chapo underneath. Keegs, no ultimate available this time. Does have the Sanctuary, but it's probably not going to be enough. Just so much damage coming out from Chapo, and then Despair with the cleanup. I've loved Despair's play this game. He's been on point with his positioning. He's been using the ultimates effectively. Last time, used it to execute Truancii off the Sanctuaried Kuang ult, using it like a Kumba or Nejal, like we mentioned, and he just comes down immediately into the Supernova.
Fire Giant, that's the target. SoaR now have a decent lead, 4,000 or so above their opposition.
And Uzzy's just doing whatever he wants right now, keeping Jumpahhh out. But that being said, he did let Niqued and Terra in here, and it looks like that Fire Giant does go to SoaR. Close, but Stormy doing a nice job of securing it with that Earthshaker.
I got a little scared. So I really thought Fire Giant was about to be stolen.
The Umbrella Rang, he's got to shoot it faster than that.
Really good timing.
Stormy's got to get in there with that ultimate, even back up even, and use that thing. And that it's difficult because that is such a weirdly timed ultimate. The travel distance in how it interacts with how far you shoot it, and the scaling difference and the base damage difference, it does get a little weird. For someone who doesn't play a lot of Vulcan, it can definitely be difficult to judge how much damage you're going to do, because depending on how close you are and how long it's going to take to get there. But Stormy was able to, I mean, look, close doesn't count. They didn't get it, so Stormy secured it with the ultimate, and that's all that matters. Good play by him.
And like you said, I mean, that's one of the growing pains of switching over to the mid lane, right? As we see more experience out of Stormy, not in the mid lane specifically, but on these mid lane characters, we'll be able to see some of the ins and outs take it a little bit more, a little bit further than what he's able to do right now. Gold Sphere go down, no contest to SoaR as well, able to continue pushing their lead into the positive spectrum. It's 7,000 now above their opposition, more like 6, as eLevate able to push past 61K.
And to his credit, Vulcan is definitely one of the hardest gods to get a great understanding of in the middle lane. Even
a lot of intricacy.
Tons of intricacy. Using the turret correctly. We saw him place it facing directly into the Fire Giant, when you'll see players like Pretty Prime angle that so that it's barely touching the Fire Giant, but as soon as someone walks in to try and contest, it's going to target them as well.
2 shots onto the Thor, and he's just 10%, has to hammer out, uses the Sanctuary as well, won't have that available to himself before the next team fight. 2 players in the left, 3 players in the mid from SoaR Gaming. Keep an eye on Kuang though. He's part of this mid lane strike force, and he's a little bit pushed back further than the rest of the team. Now pushing forward, wants to try and make something happen when they least expect it. Beautiful ring around the Vamana, no healing available for the big baby. Ultimate out of the Vulcan, gonna hit a few, but not make anything really go to town. Damage onto the Kuang, however, certainly a big deal.
A little bit late on that ultimate, but I think it was still on cooldown from that Fire Giant. Now Rippin in a bad spot, having used both of his dashes, nowhere to go. Stormy gonna secure it over the wall with the Magma Bomb, and now no ultimates available on the side of SoaR outside of Chapo and Uzzy though.
Left side, Phoenix gonna be aggressed on, 5-on-4 at the moment. Jing uses the ultimate real quick. eLevate Niqued, able to take down Chapo, who goes real deep, searching and fishing for a kill.
But that's okay. He's just zoning, basically making sure that his team is able to secure that Phoenix, and that's all you need to do. You're not looking to win there necessarily. While if you can, it's great, and
sure,
that we'd always like to take the win. But more importantly, you get 2 Phoenixes, and the best 2 Phoenixes to get: the middle lane Phoenix and the far Phoenix from the Fire Giant. Now, eLevate's gonna have a tough time making sure that they can contest Fire Giant and keep their Titan from suffering the same fates as SoaR's last game,
right,
falling to those Fire minions.
Was just about to say that. eLevate now have to, that's how they won last game, so I'm sure they're a little bit more cognizant of the fact that there are going to be Fire minions coming down these lanes, and they've got to play Farmville here in their individual lanes and make sure to push them up as far as possible while still being careful. 1 or 2 picks here at this point in the game, half hour in, 1 or 2 picks means SoaR wins the game. They don't really need, there's not a lot of wiggle room here for eLevate. They can push up, but like I said, if Thor falls down real quick, if Niqued gets surrounded by 5 players, that's game, baby. And
I think one of the characters to watch because of that is going to be Brochacho with that cage. It's real easy to catch someone out of position when they can only move in a small area, especially Niqued or Rippin without that Phantom. They could be in a lot of trouble if they get Odin caged, and he's had a great game, Brochacho. We haven't really touched on it, but 1-0-9, not dying on Odin support, while putting out a decent amount of damage in that early to mid game and setting up your team with that cage. He's done a great job of doing that thus far, and we'll see if he's able to get a pick using that cage to try and propel SoaR to the win.
You know, Brochacho is one of the, I think, stronger silent supports, if that makes sense. He's very
rarely... never played with him. He's not silent.
Oh, I know.
He's the opposite of silent.
What I mean by that is gameplay. He's not one to really make these giant, flashy plays. You don't really expect him to make these objective steals, right? He's not really that guy, but he's always peeling for the teammates. He's always making these small plays that don't necessarily hit the highlight reel, but certainly turn the win column up.
No doubt about it, because we would be playing and, you know, we'd see Chapo make a great play, or Keegs or Uzzy or something like that. Be like, wow, Uzzy, what a great ult. And then you hear Brochacho be like, yo, Papo, how about peeling off that other guy so that he could get in there with that ultimate? Where's the support love, baby?
And as far as being a player is concerned, that's almost the best type of support you have, because you don't even realize that he's peeling because they're not able to make an impact onto you.
He definitely does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat line, or even when you're playing, you don't even realize it, but you're like, oh yeah, that was a really sick play by you to set that up. Here, Stormy using the cage there, and this is probably going to be a pick on top of the Fire Giant, securing it away from Niqued.
Niqued gets surrounded by 5. Everybody from eLevate gonna push up.
Phantom got off just in time there for Niqued, able to get out of that cage, but now Jumpahhh wants to go in. Stormy low, hits 3 with the ult.
Beautiful selection, gonna get this kill as well as the stun. Stormy down for the count. 4 players with Fire Giant. SoaRChapo able to make that one happen on top of Truancii. Niqued surrounded, no ultimate available. Rippin holes on the left-hand side. Backing coming out of Keegs. He won't be here. Double kill for SoaR.
All the while, Fire Minions pushing down that left-hand side, poking away the Titan. That's 2 kills on the way of SoaR, and now they're going to be looking at this last Phoenix. Going to try and get this right side Phoenix and then rotate to the middle Phoenix right as it respawns, unless they can get another pick, in which case they could probably look for the Titan.
That's just game. Yeah, got to be careful with that one. All eyes on Chapo. 7 kills into this one. There's 15 on the board, and there's 15 on Chapo. 7 and 8 for kills and assists, respectively. Right side Phoenix gets smoked as soon as it comes up, and the mid Phoenix is going to respawn. This is going to die as well. Very quickly, SoaR able to shut down all of the Firebirds. All that's left is the Titan.
So close to being able to end, just without StormyRays, without that free damage onto the Titan using the Vulcan turret. They're a little bit wary of that. Now Chapo looks like he wants to go in with these Fire Minions, zoning everyone out from that left-hand side, and the Titan is so low. Jumpahhh being forced up in the air just to try and peel for his own Titan.
Chapo on the retreat, trying to gauge people a little bit out. Jumpahhh, like we said, gonna land on the ultimate. SoaR the retreat though, the full, I don't think they have the full retreat.
No, they're just waiting for Stormy to get here, now coming back with that Rod of Tahuti online and the ultimate available. All they have to do is really wait around and then go in and let Stormy ult the Titan, because the Titan will fall to 1 max distance Titan or Vulcan ult at this point in the game.
So, I mean, this was SoaR just wanted to win with their whole team.
Right.
Leave no man behind.
It's a team effort.
Leave no man behind. SoaR grouping up as 5 here in the mid. All 3 Phoenixes are down for eLevate. This is really the final push here, folks. SoaR have got to find their perfect window of opportunity, and they're looking for a pick, I think, more than anything. I don't think SoaR feel confident just to go in demanding the Titan.
They're just waiting for the lanes to push up. Chapo said this to me a million times. We're waiting until the lanes push up, and then we go in. We go in with the minions. You force the other team to spread out, and then you pick whoever's right in front of you. That is Niqued right now in that cage.
And there's the aggression coming out from SoaR. Chapo still playing it safe, now getting forward, and there it is, very quickly. Nobody has to die, nobody has to do anything. Down goes the Titan, 34-50 on the clock. And like we said, with the Kuang selection, a lot of it's going to be the heavy lifting of the individual. Chapo comes through when he needs to and brings the win home.
Not only that, but Uzzy had a great game as well. Didn't pick up any kills, but only had 1 death and was top of the player damage charts throughout that entire game, just really imposing his will on Ravana, and that's what you want whenever you're first picking a Ravana.
I mean, that's the Ravana in general, right? That's his whole job, is to just be that bully. Without that sort of play style, you're just not going to be able to see what's going on as far as that's concerned. And as far as that's concerned, the mid lane was certainly a big point of conversation, whether it was Stormy or his opposition. Truancii on this Vulcan. This has quickly, I think, become one of his spotlight god here in the SCL. And right here, you're able to see why.
No doubt about it. He really impressed me today with this Vulcan play, both against Eager and against SoaR today. And he's grown a lot as a player very quickly. We saw him in relegations. And to be honest with you, I wasn't very impressed with his play. Very lackluster, wasn't putting out enough damage. But since he's come to the SCL, he's clearly been putting in a lot of work, and you got to respect that.
Chapo as well, one of the stronger, longer, dedicated players here, more decorated as well, certainly bringing it home. We saw him play the Thor, and it's fun. Chapo has this sort of, he's known for being very aggressive and going very deep and all this, that, and third, but he will play the Thor for his team. He will play these team picks. But then when it's time, he is certainly ready to do it all by himself. The Kuang selection absolutely works out.
Give him the Kuang, give him the Awilish, something that he can really just dash in and out of these team fights right, and kind of not as much worry about setting up.
Biggest key for that, those 2 sets.
Chemistry. Let's see where SoaR goes. Let's see how Stormy and Chapo, as well as Brochacho, sort of form that core 3 that's so important. And let's see how Keegs in this ADC role, let's see if he can expand out of those magical ADCs, because the Jing way wasn't doing it for me.
Well, SoaR's got one more game, or one more set, excuse me, coming up next. That's how we'll end the game. So stay tuned for some more action right here on hi-rez TV.
and time to explode.